Hello you absolute legends. Last year, I made a video covering the amazing 120-star world record set by Liam. Liam had become the first person in history to complete the 120-star category in 1 hour and 37 minutes. In that video, I spoke in depth about how Liam seemed to be in a league of his own. Honestly, it almost seemed as though he was untouchable. He was almost 30 seconds ahead of second place, and no one else seemed to be as serious as Liam when it came to implementing the best strategies. To put it bluntly, everyone else seemed to be playing it safe. But with a world record this strong, safety just wouldn't cut it. People needed to start taking risks. The only question was if anyone else had the ability or potential to successfully integrate the more challenging techniques. It was entirely possible that Liam was truly a step above the rest, and no one else would be able to keep up, which in hindsight was a pretty naive thought. For the past 7 years, one player had dominated the 120-star category more than any other, and that player is Cheese. From 2015 to 2021, Cheese beat his own personal best a total of 16 times, and every single time he did it with a new world record. To put this another way, since 2015 he has never set a new personal best that wasn't a world record. This is an astonishing track record. In my opinion, of all of the players that have ever speedrun this classic game, Cheese has the strongest argument for being the greatest player of all time. And this is why it's so odd that by late 2021, Cheese was seemingly no longer considered the top world record contender. The sheer distance that Liam had put between himself and the other players was so large that it made everyone else look much worse than they really were. People forgot, including myself, just how dominant Cheese was for so long. And we forgot that there was probably a very good reason he achieved as many world records as he did. Liam's world record was so crushing that even Cheese himself began to lose faith, and by his own admission, he felt as though achieving the world record again might be out of his reach. But as the fates would have it, he couldn't have been more wrong. On the 1st of March 2022, something amazing happened. Cheese kept his streak alive and set a new world record for collecting every star and beating Super Mario 64. This world record is incredible, not just for the fact that it's a new world record in one of the most prestigious and difficult categories speedrunning has to offer, but also because of the way it was done. This is a perfect example of how a lack of self-belief and playing it safe can dramatically hamper a player's potential. And when they finally commit and put it all on the line, magical things can happen. In this video, we will take a look at this new world record and how it all went down. I really hope you enjoy. Now legends, before we go on, I just have to let you know that yes, it finally happened. Honestly, if someone gave me a knife for Christmas, that would be amazing. Still, to this day, I do not have a nice knife to use around the house. Today's video sponsor, Bespoke Post, has sent me a brand new knife. Bespoke is a monthly membership club which delivers boxes containing a wide selection of really interesting and useful products. Every month, they will send you something new, and their lineup is constantly changing, so there will always be new things to try. Before your box is shipped, you can preview it and decide if you want to keep it, swap it for something else, or skip the month entirely for no charge. As I mentioned, Bespoke sent me the Stealth Box, which contains a great knife for everyday use around the home. The knife is perfect for opening boxes and deliveries. The Stealth Box also contains a money clip, a heavy-duty capsule, and a multi-purpose pen, which is also a screwdriver, ruler, and level. Every box has around $70 in retail value, but only costs $45. And if you want 20% off your first box, just go to the link in the description and enter Karl Jobst 20 at checkout. Again, just click the link in the description. On the 7th of November 2021, the speedrunner Liam completed the 120-star category in 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 53 seconds. This was a particularly important record because it was the first time anyone had broken the 138 barrier. In my video talking about Liam's achievement, I focused heavily on the fact that Liam tended to use more optimal strategies than other runners. Of course, it's not as simple as just using better strategies. There's a reason that other people opt to use slower ones, and that's generally because the faster strategies involve taking on more risk. However, Liam is an exceptional player, and he was able to combine these riskier strategies into his runs to save massive time. In particular, I focused on 2 large time saves that as yet not many players had taken full advantage of. Both of these strategies involved backwards long jumps. The first was in Hazy Maze Cave, allowing players to skip a large section of the map to reach a star, and the second was on the stairs leading up to the 50-star door, a strategy required on 16-star, but not necessary on 120-star, as you already have enough stars to get through, though doing this trick ends up being around 8 seconds faster if done well. I noted that out of the top 10 times on the leaderboard, only a single player used both of these strategies in their run, which of course was Liam. When Cheese performed his last world record, a time of 1:38.25 back in January of 2021, he used neither. I distinctly remember Cheese practicing the Hazy Maze Cave strategy in the past, complaining that he couldn't get it consistently. Ultimately, he decided not to include it. And to be honest, at the time it wasn't really necessary for him to use. He was already quick enough to get the world record without it. This all changed, however, with Liam's historic 1:37. Now, you could no longer afford to ignore these huge time saves and still expect to compete for the world record. Liam forced Cheese's hand, and Cheese realized that if he was ever going to be back on top, he needed to use every tool at his disposal, including both the Hazy Maze Cave and 50-star door backwards long jump strategies. I reached out to Cheese, and he had this to say.
Hey guys, it's me, Cheese. For years, I tried implementing the Toxic Maze BLJ, and it was something that I had trouble with for as long as I can remember. I used to be amazing at mashing until I developed tendinitis in my hands from grinding Mario Odyssey back in November 2018 during the Easy Escape Challenge. Ever since then, I've noticed a huge change in my ability to mash quickly for longer than even just a few seconds. However, after watching Liam come back and get those 2 world records, and seeing that he did not only do that BLJ, but also the 50-star door BLJ, aka Wilco clip, I decided to give it another go. After a lot of practice, I realized that I indeed can do it, and I just need to find my own way of maintaining the mashing speed along with the consistency in the mashing itself, which is really what BLJs are based on mostly. I figured out that if I just mash at a slightly slower pace, but maintain that mash for long enough, the trick actually becomes way easier. This alone, I would say, really elevated my confidence a bit, and then after watching Liam do Wilco clip in his world records, I thought that I just have to go all out at this point, although this really just was the beginning.
But Cheese went even further than this. In the last several months of 2021, there were still new discoveries and strategies being discovered in the game. One of them was a brand new glitch in the level Dire Docks. This level has 2 main areas that are separated by a tunnel that the player must swim through. However, it was found by the player Chip Groove that instead of swimming down to the tunnel's entrance, you can simply swim directly across and clip through the wall. The game then forces Mario downwards directly into the tunnel. The clip saves around 1 second, which is huge in categories like 1-star and 16-star, where every tiny time save counts. So it was an immediate and obvious inclusion into those runs. But it is risky. If you miss the clip, you can lose up to 8 seconds, which is huge. Top Mario speedrunner Simply had this to say shortly after the clip was found.
But I have been practicing it a lot. It feels pretty good. I got it 29 times in a row at one point, you know, no big deal. But it's one of those tricks that, like, no matter how consistent you have it, it feels like there's gonna be moments where you're gonna miss it. And if you miss it, it does lose a fair amount of time. It's like 6 to 8 seconds or something, which is a lot of damage. And if you're really nervous and you're on a really good run, it's gonna be tough to hit. So I don't wanna say anything. I don't wanna be like, yes, for sure, this is going to work. Yes, it's in runs. Yes, everyone should do it. I'm still in that phase of implementing it, but I did do it in a run recently 3 times in a row. Felt pretty good, and most of the time when I practice it, it feels pretty decent, but time will tell.
Another new strategy was also found on Hazy Maze Cave as part of the 100 coin star. Towards the end of the star, the previous strategy was to go through this door, down an elevator, before heading towards where the star would be collected. However, it was discovered by the runner Salt and Ginger that you could bypass the door and lift by performing a very precise triple jump to get out of bounds. This strategy seemed a bit safer than the new clip on Dire Docks and saved even more time. Again, the runner simply had this to say shortly after it was found.
First of all, it saves around 2 seconds if you do it well. I've probably put maybe 2 to 3 hours of practice into it at this point, and honestly, it feels fairly consistent. Liam has been doing it in runs. Cheese has been doing it in runs. Obviously, only a time save really for 120 stars since it's a part of HMC 100. And the best part about it is it does not risk that much time unless you really fuck up. And to really fuck up, you gotta be a bonehead because you gotta be drifting way too far to the left, not knowing what you're doing, and you can just end up falling all the way into the water, and that would kill your run. But most of the time, you only end up losing maybe 2 seconds if you don't get the triple jump and just fall down and run to the door, or if you just bonk on your way to the triple jump dive, or if you go for the triple jump dive and it doesn't quite clip. Everything ends up losing around 2 to 4 seconds.
A common theme in all of these relatively modern strategies is that there is risk involved. Trying to save an extra 1 or 2 seconds now comes with the potential of losing even more time. But in this day and age of Super Mario 64 speedrunning, that's what players need to do. They need to take risks. In the grand scheme of things, this style of play is definitely new, and it's getting even more acute as time goes on. In the earlier days, for example, when Siglemic was dominating the 120-star category between 2011 and 2014, it was common to see new world records with 1 or even more deaths. Even as recent as 2019, when Chi set a new world record of 1 hour, 39 minutes and 15 seconds, he did so with a death in Cool Mountain, which alone lost 30 full seconds. For the world record to contain such a massive time loss, it just goes to show how unoptimized the category really was. This isn't because players are bad, it just highlights how difficult it is to play perfectly in this game for 1.5 hours straight. But since then, things have escalated extremely rapidly. With the record 1.5 minutes faster, you can no longer afford such huge time losses. Nowadays, if you want to be on top, not only do you have to play extremely well without any major mistakes, but you also need to use the much more challenging and riskier strategies. And I think this is why Cheese didn't seem like the world record contender he used to be. The last time he achieved a world record, he didn't use the Hazy Maze backwards long jump, even though 6 out of the top 10 players did. He didn't use the 50-star door clip. He wasn't pushing himself to his full potential, but after Liam's destruction of the category, he knew things needed to change. He made the commitment to implementing the strategies he had been putting off for so long, and as soon as he did, something magical happened. On the 1st of March 2022, Cheese was 32 seconds behind the world record. As I mentioned before, since 2015 he had never set a new personal best without it being a world record, though it basically seemed impossible for this streak to continue. Generally, people work their way down in steps. Huge leaps are extraordinarily rare. This is for a couple of reasons. The first is simple. People tend to lower their times as their skill improves. But the second reason is less obvious, and it's more psychological. If you are only a couple of seconds ahead of something you've already done, it's not that stressful. However, if you're way ahead of anything you've ever done, it's incredibly nerve-wracking. If you couple that with being on world record pace, most people will just never be able to handle that pressure on their first time. This couldn't be more true when it comes to Cheese as well. His grind to break the 139 barrier was made infamous because of how many runs he choked at the end. He was on pace for a 138 as early as 2018, and it took him 2 years before he could finally finish a run without missing Bowser throws. Cheese was good enough to get world records, but in my mind, he was always prone to high nerves, and that cost him a lot of runs in the past. So the thought of beating his own personal best by at least 33 seconds and break the 138 barrier for his first time and the second time in history and get the world record all in a single run seemed out of the question. Even Cheese himself wasn't even considering the possibility.
Ever since the start of my journey in speedrunning, I've always struggled with choking runs at the end.
Nervous, dude. I'm nervous. I'm so nervous.
I remember always watching Puncation and being jealous of his ability to clutch out good runs. After a while, I noticed that the barrier that was holding me back from being as good as players like Punky and Simply was the psychology part of it all. In early 2015, a runner by the name of Nero X2 came back from a very long break and pretty much destroyed everyone in 120 star, shocking all of us with his crazy new strats and metas that changed Mario 64 120 star speedrunning. I'm positive that Nero's return gave me a huge motivation boost, and I realized that so much more is possible with this game than I thought. Of course, in April of 2015, I had that insane run that I actually finally ended up clutching the end, which went on to be my first ever world record in 120 star. Also pretty much obliterating the previous world record by almost a minute. This was the beginning of my journey as a streamer and speedrunner, and also most importantly, it's what made me realize that I have what it takes to be the best and overcome the speedrunning nerves and stress. With this said, the nerves of being on world record pace never really went away. I think a lot of speedrunners believe that it goes away at some point. I realized that it isn't the case at all. You just get better at being able to maintain it, and in my case, I actually try to use it to my benefit. I think the one moment that made me realize that nerves can almost encourage me to do better was Break the Record 2020. When I got the 138.54 live at that event in front of 20,000 plus viewers and in a setting that I wasn't used to with different equipment and a new environment, I knew then and there I was capable of anything. Fast forward to almost 2 years later, Liam comes back from a break and annihilates everyone and gets 2 world records pretty quickly with a final time of 137.53. At this point, I was 3rd place and I felt like I was quite far behind. This was the first time I've ever felt like I wasn't able to be the best anymore. I started doubting myself, and I was so busy with IRL things that I barely even had time to put in the practice necessary to beat Liam. I was trying for about 5 to 6 months to get the world record back, and I honestly didn't even come close. This brings us to the current time, where in the middle of February I went to a live event called Glitch Infinite, hosted by VG Bootcamp, where GSA did a charity speedrunning event, and it was indeed a live event. This was the first event I ever attended since Break the Record 2020, and I'm certain that it gave me a huge motivation boost, and I felt like my old self again.
On the 1st of March, Cheese began his stream and started his very first run of the day. It was immediately obvious that Cheese had been working hard and had taken his play to the next level. Almost every single split, he was saving time and was steadily increasing his lead on his own personal best as the run progressed. He was even incorporating some movements that almost no other players use in the 120 star category. For example, on the stage Womp's Fortress, to get the star fall into the cage, normally players do a triple jump wall kick to get into the cage. Normally players stop on the platform before doing the triple jump to prepare. However, in the shorter categories like 16 star and 70 star, players have recently been doing a double jump wall kick without stopping at all. The double jump is far more difficult and very rarely seen on 120 star. Generally, it's only used by the players that mainly specialize in these shorter categories and have already mastered the technique. In Hazy Maze Cave, he utilized both the backwards long jump and the new triple jump, and not only did he do them well, but he collected every star in that stage faster than he ever had in a run. 36 minutes into the run, he was already 23 seconds ahead, and the lead kept growing. In Dire Docks, he used the new clip, and an hour into the run, he was 41 seconds faster than his personal best. By this point, the nerves were clearly starting to set in, and 13 minutes later, he had bled almost 20 seconds. Cheese himself admitted that he was beginning to feel nervous.
Am I nervous? I mean, yeah. But I've also done this for 8 years, so I know what I have to do to help calm the nerves.
One thing Cheese did have on his side, however, was luck. In Super Mario 64, especially in the longer categories, the randomness in the way coins move after killing enemies has pretty significant consequences. If a coin moves in the wrong direction, you can easily lose a second or more by going out of your way to collect it. But today, the coins were falling in just the right places. This luck drastically helped Cheese keep up the pace, and he slowly managed to build his lead again. The moment of truth would be the clip through the 50-star door, something that Cheese had never done on a run. And what better time to try than now, his fastest run ever. It was almost a flawless execution, and with that clip, Cheese saved 8 seconds over his previous best. After the next star, he was now 43 seconds ahead and easily on pace for a mid-137. A lot can happen in the final 2 stages. They are some of the most precarious in the entire game, where a single mistake can result in an instant death. Somehow, someway, Cheese managed to keep it together and survive. Heading into the final Bowser stage, he was the furthest ahead he'd ever been, with a 44-second lead. If he played one last stage perfectly, he would beat the world record by 13 seconds. And on the 1st of March 2022, the speedrunner Cheese would achieve this run.
Dude. Oh my god. Oh my god. No, no, no! No fucking way, dude! No! No fucking way, dude! This is not happening, man. This is not happening. Oh my fucking god, dude. Fuck! I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what the fuck to do. Oh my god! Fuck! This is not happening, bro!
The reaction says it all. For the 17th time in a row, Cheese beat his own personal best with a brand new world record. This was more than just a record, it was a statement that Cheese isn't going away anytime soon. The question is, where do we go from here? Liam undoubtedly pushed the category forwards in a big way, and now every top speedrunner is reimagining the way they play the game. Everyone is now using riskier and more challenging strategies to try and achieve something amazing. But Liam, in my opinion, is still the biggest threat. Remember, in his world record, he missed a Bowser throw, costing 12 seconds. In fact, he entered the final stage ahead of Cheese, but he just couldn't finish it without the costly mistake. And lately, he has had some insanely fast runs that were well ahead of his personal best. In my last video, I speculated that Liam's world record may not be beaten anytime soon. But this latest world record from Cheese shows that it really is impossible to know what will happen next. For now, I think I will just sit back and enjoy the show. A massive congratulations to Cheese for this new world record, and a big thanks for coming on and sharing his thoughts. Definitely make sure to subscribe to him on YouTube and follow him on Twitch. As always, thank you so much for watching, you legends. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.